The first Sam streaked up from the Hindu Kush like a venomous scorpion's tail, slicing the pre-dawn sky over Bagram Airbase with a hiss that cut through the roar of F-16 engines. It was October 10, 2025, and the valley below churned under a shroud of dust devils, the kind that swallowed Humvees whole and turned men into ghosts. Captain Lia Torres gripped the edge of the briefing tent's folding table, her knuckles whitening against the scarred plywood, as the holo-map flickered red blips blooming like blood in water. The room a canvas blister sagging under the weight of monsoon scars stank of jet fuel, stale MREs, and the acrid sweat of 20 men who'd flown too close to the sun one too many times. "Ghost One, break left now!" Major Harris's voice boomed over the crackling radio speakers, his grizzled face a mask of controlled fury under the tent's single bulb. At 45, Harris was the wing commander, a lifer with a jaw like weathered granite and eyes that had stared down MiGs over the Gulf. His pilots' eagle-eyed hotshots in flight suits, patched with squadron patches, leaned in, coffee mugs forgotten, as the feed from the lead jet painted the chaos. Tracer rounds stitching the dark, the Sam's contrail twisting like a noose. The tent erupted in a chorus of curses and half-formed prayers. "Come on, Ramirez, you green bastard, evade!" One pilot snarled, slamming a fist on the table. Lieutenant Ramirez, the 24-year-old prodigy in the hot seat, was Ghost One today, his F-16 dancing on the razor's edge, afterburners screaming as he barrel-rolled through the missile's wake. The blip held, then stabilized. Cheers rippled, ragged and relieved. But Lia saw it first, the anomaly. Not on the holo-map's glowing grid, but in the static-laced chatter bleeding from the auxiliary speaker, a whisper, faint as a lover's breath, layered under the pilot's frantic calls. Pashto inflection, clipped and coded, riding a Taliban freak that shouldn't have pierced the jam. "Eagle falls at dawn, ghost returns." Her pulse spiked, a familiar ice threading her veins. She leaned closer, faded silver locket cool against her collarbone, its chain a whisper against her flightline overalls. The words weren't random. They echoed a ghost from 6 years back, a mission she'd buried deeper than the wrecks in the Kush. "Lia Torres, what the hell are you doing in here?" Harris's bark snapped her head up, his meaty hand waving her off like a stray dog. The room's eyes turned cocky pilots, intel weenies with clipboards, the whole testosterone-fueled circus pausing mid-exhale. She was the outsider, the archivist in khaki overalls dusted with hangar grime, her dark hair pulled into a bun that screamed, "Don't notice me." At 32, Lia blended into the base's periphery, filing yellowed flight logs in a trailer that doubled as a sand trap, her days a blur of manifests and microfiche. No wings on her chest, just the locket a simple oval of tarnished silver, dangling like a relic from a forgotten war. Laughter bubbled up, starting with Pilot One call sign Raptor, a 28-year-old flyboy with a smirk sharp as his sidewinder. "Locket lady crashes the party? Come to log our near misses for your fairy tale scrapbook?" He mimed flipping pages, the tent guffawing. Ramirez's voice crackled over the radio. "Splash 1, Sam, ghost flight clear," and the cheers drowned her. But Raptor's jab lingered, eyes flicking to the necklace. "What's the deal with that thing anyway? Boyfriend's dog tags? Or just something to fiddle with when the big boys fly?" Heat flushed her neck, but Lia swallowed it, the locket's weight a anchor against the storm. She'd heard it all. Locket lady, desk eagle. Whispers that she was grounded for a reason, too fragile after her incident, too Latina in a squadron of all-American Adonises. They didn't know the half how the locket's inscription, worn smooth as a riverstone, held more classified ink than their entire clearance level. She forced a smile, thin as razor wire. "Just dropping logs, sir. And that whisper on O3? Not static. Pashto overlay Eagle Falls at dawn." Sounds like a vector warning. Harris snorted, rubbing his buzzed scalp, the scar from a '09 chin strap ejection puckering. "Whispers. Torres, you're the queen of filing cabinets, not freak fairy." Out we've got real ghosts to chase. He jerked a thumb at the flap, the pilot's laughter swelling like a bad afterburner. Raptor leaned in, voice low and mocking. Run along, Locket. Wouldn't want your trinket getting dusty. She bit back the retort. You'd trade your wings for what this holds, and slipped out, the tent flap slapping shut behind her like a guillotine. The Afghan dawn clawed at the horizon, painting the Kush in bloody streaks, the air thick with rotor wash from a distant Black Hawk patrol. Bagram sprawled around her, chain-link fences humming with razor wire. Revetments bulging with F-16s like coiled vipers, the eternal sand grinding under her boots. Home, if hell had a zip code. Lia quickened her pace toward the trailer, her office. A corrugated tin box parked beside the intel bunker, stacked with crates of declassified microfiche, and a cot that smelled of diesel dreams. Inside, the door banged shut, sealing out the jeers. She flicked on the single bulb, its yellow glow pooling over the chaos. Filing cabinets labeled by Opcode's Eagle's Nest. Viper run a battered laptop whirring on the desk, and a wall calendar pinned with faded Polaroids. One caught her eye. Her younger, grinning beside an F-16, arms slung around a sandy-haired wingman. Jax. The locket burned against her skin. She unclasped it, thumb tracing the oval's edge. Inside, the photo was tiny, creased. Jack's post-rescue. His eyes bright with that Irish lilt of gratitude. Below, the inscription laser-etched, faded but indelible. Ghost flight survivor, 2,845 Negress, to the eagle who flew through hell. J.R. Ghost Flight. The words conjured it all. 2019, Syrian skies turning black with Sam smoke. Classified recon, deep in Assad's backyard. Lia at 26, hotshot lieutenant, leading the 4-ship through electronic soup to map chem sites. The hit came without warning. SA-17 battery radar locked on Ghost 3. Jax's bird shredded mid-formation, ejecting him into the abyss. No backup, no exfil, just Lia, inverting her Viper through a gauntlet of flake, G-forces crushing her ribs as she ghosted low. 2,147 meters of unaided descent through AA hell to scoop him from the sand. The longest jet extract on record, black-inked in Langley vaults. Jax's gift after the Locket, engraved in a Damascus safe house. You flew us out, Eagle. Ghosts owe you eternal. She'd paid for it, shrapnel scars spidering her back. PTSD that grounded her faster than a redline stall. Agency pulled strings, reassigned to Bagram as archivist, low-profile cover to sniff Prague moles, the betrayal that leaked their flight path. But the Locket? Her talisman, a fool's anchor in a squadron that saw her as flightline filler. The laptop chimed Oaks 3 feed buffering. Lia dropped into the chair, fingers flying over keys, pulling the raw audio. Static peeled back like onion skin. The Pashto whisper sharpened, laced with digital artifacting. Eagle falls at dawn, ghost returns. Frequency Alpha 7, mimic vector. Her blood chilled. Not Taliban guttural, too clean, laced with adaptive code AI overlay, the kind that spoofed IFF transponders. She'd seen it before. Prague handler's signature, the mole who'd sold Ghost Flight for rubles. And Ghost Returns? A taunt aimed at her. Heart-hammering, she cross-referenced. Alpha 7 was tomorrow's launch frec for the Wings Big Sweep 8 Vipers, Ramirez leading, Harris riding shotgun in the AWACS feed. If the swarm hit, mimicking signatures, friendly fire apocalypse. She patched a secure line to Harris's sat phone anonymous, per protocol. Major swarm vector on Alpha 7, ghost code embedded, abort launch. The line crackled, his voice gravel over static. Torres? That you? Locket? I set out. This static's your fairy tales again. Focus on your files. Click. Dismissed. Again. Lia slammed the laptop shut, the trailer shaking. Outside, the base stirred. Ground crew swarming the flight line, F-16s groaning under tow, pilots striding like gods in Nomex. Ramirez passed her window, helmet under arm, flashing a thumbs up to Raptor. Kid had promise eager eyes, quick hands but green as the Kush in spring. She'd mentored him once, over lukewarm chow. Listen to the whispers, LT. Skies lie louder than men. He'd laughed it off. Now it might kill him. She couldn't wait. Protocol be damned, agency ghosts didn't file and forget. Lia yanked her go bag from under the cot compact, always packed. Encrypted drive, multi-tool, a compact Glock 19 holstered low. The locket snapped shut, chain secure. She slipped out the back, skirting the perimeter fence where the wire hummed with motion sensors. Dawn broke full now, the sun a bloodshot eye over the peaks, casting long shadows that danced like Sam contrails. The auxiliary radar shack squatted at the field's edge, a prefab blister guarded by a bored airman nursing a Red Bull. Lia approached casual, logbook in hand as prop. "Morning, Corporal! Flight manifest for the Major need a freak check." He waved her through, yawning underestimation's gift. Inside, the shack was a nerve center, screens blooming with radar sweeps, consoles beeping soft hymns to electrons. The on-duty tech Sergeant Ellis, a lanky kid with acne scars, glanced up from his game of solitaire. "Torres, Harris said no visitors. What's the play?" "Static on O3, she said, sliding into the co-pilot chair uninvited, fingers ghosting the console. "Pull the buffer Alpha 7 overlay." Ellis hesitated, but her tone-quiet command hooked him. The screen refreshed, waveforms dancing, the whisper buried deep. Lia isolated it, running her custom decrypt prog vintage, pieced from Ghost Flight scraps. The code bloomed, coordinates locked on the launch vector, swarm signature pulsing. 12 units, adaptive AI ghosts in the machine, mimicking IFF to turn the wing on itself. Jesus, Ellis breathed, paling. That's not Taliban, that's spoofed, like the 19 Syrian glitch. Lia's jaw tightened. "Ghost flight, launch in 15, get Harris on the horn abort now." But the door banged open raptor, helmet tucked, eyes narrowing at the screens. "Locket, what the Ellis you let her in?" Suspicion flared. He'd seen her trailer light burning late too often. "Harris wants manifests, not joyrides." "Out!" Tension coiled, the consoles beep a countdown. Lia stood slow, Locket glinting under the fluorescence. "Raptor, listen. Swarm on Alpha 7, your birds turn to chum if..." He grabbed her arm. Laugh brittle. "Chum? From the file fairy? Save it for your Locket prayers." He yanked her toward the door. Ellis frozen. Outside, the first engine whine pierced the air. Ramirez's jet spooling oblivious. Lia twisted free, agency reflexes blooming elbow jab to his ribs. Precise, non-lethal. Raptor gasped, staggering. She bolted for the radio stack, keying the wing wide. "All ghosts abort launch! Swarm inbound! Alpha 7 spoof! Torres, archivist stand down!" Static swallowed her words, then Harris's roar. "Torres, sabotage, MP's on you now!" Alarms wailed base-wide scramble, but too late. The first drone ghosted the radar, a shadow in the sweep. And in her earpiece stolen from the shack, the whisper returned. "Eagle falls. Ghost returns." Lia sprinted for the flight line, heart thunder, Locket bouncing like a heartbeat. The hangar loomed, jets gleaming predators. Ramirez's canopy slammed shut, throttle up, rolling. She waved frantic, but the afterburner blast knocked her back, sand stinging her eyes. Then the sky screamed. Drones, a dozen black specks uncoiling from the peaks, lasers painting tails. Ghost flight was back, and this time she was the only one who remembered how to fly it. The first drone died screaming, a black-winged specter crumpling mid-dive, its rotors shearing into a fireball that lit the Hindu Kush like a false dawn. Captain Lia Torres hit the tarmac rolling, the blast wave from Ramirez's F-16 afterburner slamming her ribs like a mule kick, sand scouring her face as she scrambled behind a revetment wall. Shrapnel pinged off concrete berms, the air thick with the ozone bite of electronics frying, and the acrid reek of burning composites. Above, the sky fractured. 8 vipers clawing for altitude, their contrails twisting like serpents in heat, while the swarm uncoiled from the valley folds 15 shadows, adaptive phantoms mimicking IFF signals with surgical malice. Ghost flight, form up vector 090. Harris's roar crackled over the base-wide net, laced with static that clawed like talons. From her crouch, Lia snatched a handheld radio from a fallen ground crewman's belt-cracked screen, but live keying it frantic as the second drone ghosted Ramirez's 6th laser designator, painting his tail a deathly red. Ghost 1 break high now. It's spoofing your squawk swarms on adaptive relay. Her voice cut the chaos, raw and unfiltered, the locket bouncing against her chest like a frantic heartbeat. The trailer was yards behind, laptop unsecured, but there was no time drones didn't negotiate with archives. Static hissed back, then Raptor's sneer. Locket, on open freak, get off the line, Torres, this ain't your tea party. Laughter barked through the interference, cut short by a missile whoosh Ghost 4's Sidewinder, splashing a drone in a bloom of orange, debris raining like hell's confetti. But for every kill, 2 more peeled from the peaks, their shapes shifting mid-flight, winglets folding to echo F-16 profiles, engines whining a perfect mimic of GE afterburners. AI ghosts programmed to infiltrate, not just strike, turning the wing's own birds against them. Lia bolted upright, legs pumping over the grit-slick apron, dodging a fuel cart toppled in the scramble. The flight line was pandemonium. Crew chiefs waving glow-wands gone dark, a Blackhawk tilting wild as its rotors clipped a drone wing, sparks showering the tarmac. Alarms wailed base-wide redline, klaxons blending with the Doppler scream of jets clawing skyward. She spotted Ramirez's Viper banking hard left, canopy flashing as he evaded the lock, but the drone clung like a shadow, its underbelly blooming with countermeasures chaff and flares, painting the dawn in false stars. Her mind raced the waveforms. Alpha 7 Freak laced with the ghost code, pulling from Prague's black vault. The mole had to be close, relaying live tweaks. Ramirez? No, the kid's eyes were too clean. Harris? His dismissal reeked of cover, but doubt was a luxury. The third drone dove on the AWACS relay bird, a lumbering E3 orbiting high. If it went down, the wing flew blind. Lia vaulted a sandbag barrier, snagging a crew helmet from a hook comms link, short range but gold. She slammed it on, mic hot. Ghost lead Harris, it's Torres, swarms Prague variant kill switch on the Locket freak, abort and jam 150. The words tumbled, half code, half prayer. The Locket's hidden micro SD held the decrypt kernel. Ghost Flight's last gift from Jax, but broadcasting it? Career suicide if the mole didn't clip her first. The net exploded. Torres, what the stand down? Harris's thunder, undercut by urgency. Then Ramirez, strained over G-forces. Captain, Locket, talk to me. It's on me, can't shake. His Viper twisted in a high G scissors, the drone mirroring flawless, its mimicry a digital sneer. Lia skidded to a halt by the hangar mouth, shadows swallowing her as a Viper thundered overhead, afterburner blooms searing the air. The swarm was adapting flocks splitting, 2 peeling for the fuel depot, their payloads glinting incendiary. Base security scrambled, M4s barking futile at the sky, but bullets meant for birds now risked friendlies. She ripped the helmet mic closer, breath ragged. Ramirez, invert and pulse your IFF at 150.7. It's the ghost echo, disrupt the relay. A beat of static, then his whoop strained but alive. Holy, it's breaking. Splash 2-3, Captain, you just saved my ass. Cheers crackled from the wing, but Raptor's voice sliced through. Lucky guess, Locket. Stay on the ground where you belong. No time for barbs. Lia's eyes locked on the AWACS feed relayed to attack board by the hangar. The E3 banking hard, drones converging like wolves on a lame elk. Harris was up there, wing commander riding observer, his voice now edged with the ice of a man tasting mortality. Ghosts, regroup on me, Torres, if you're listening. What the hell is Prague variant? She keyed, voice low. the Locket's chain tangling in her fingers as she sprinted for the nearest Viper unguarded in the scramble. Canopy cracked open. Classified Sir Ghost Flight 19. The code's adaptive, it's learning your maneuvers. Locket Frec 2847, it's the egress key. Plug it into your ECM pod. Silence, then a curse. Harris, Ghost Flight, Jesus, Torres, you're cleared. All units punch 2847 into jammers now. The net hummed with acknowledgments, pilots' voices shifting from panic to precision. Lia hauled herself into the cockpit stranger's bird, but muscle memory flooded back. Switches flipped, checklist ghosted in her mind. The canopy thunked shut, seals hissing, as the engine spooled with a guttural roar. Ground control crackled frantic. Unknown Viper, state your intent, stand down. But she taxied blind to protocol, the tower's lights strobing red as drones buzzed the perimeter fence, one clipping a guard tower in a spray of sparks. Ramirez's voice cut in, "Captain Lia, don't! That's my bird you're in?" Borrowed, she thought, throttle slamming forward. The Viper lurched, nose lifting into the fray, G-forces pinning her as the world inverted. Sky and sand blurred, the swarm a kaleidoscope of threats lasers dancing, missiles blooming in the rear view. Her ECM pod pinged 2847 pulsing, the ghost code fracturing under the barrage. Drones glitched, wings stuttering as the relay broke, 3 plummeting in uncontrolled spirals. But the lead pair adapted, flanking the AWACS, their payloads arming with a whine that Doppler shifted into her headset. Harris's feed spiked. Eagles hit, losing altitude. Ghosts cover fire Torres. If that's you up there, get your ass in the fight. Lia banked hard, stick yanking her into a scissors turn the ghost maneuver, Jax's old drill. The Viper bit air, afterburner flaring as she lined the lead drone, HUD bracketing its mimic profile. Fox 3, she breathed, thumb on the pickle sidewinder away, the missile's plume a comet tail. Impact, bloom of fire, shrapnel peppering her canopy like lethal hail. One down. But the second dove suicidal, straight for the E3's belly. Lia rolled inverted, pulling 9G's black spots dancing, Locket swinging wild against her flight suit. Not today, she growled, lining the shot through tears of strain. The gun pod chattered, tracers stitching the drone's flank critical hit, rotors shearing. It cartwheeled into the AWACS's wake, exploding harmless in the chaff cloud. The net erupted, splash lid, Torres, you're a goddamn ghost. Raptor's voice, awe cracking the sneer. Harris, ragged. Eagles holding RTB all birds. Torres, form up on me. She eased the stick, circling high as the swarm remnants scattered, jammed, leaderless, fleeing to the peaks. The base below was a scar, fuel dumps smoldering, a hangar wing crumpled, crews scrambling with foam hoses. Ramirez's Viper slotted beside hers, canopy to canopy his salute visible through the glass, fist to heart. Lia touched her locket, the inscription warm under her glove, Survivor. But as the AWACS steadied, Harris's voice dropped private. Torres briefing tent now. And that locket. What the hell does it mean? The hook sank deeper. Ghosts didn't stay buried, they rose, wings spread, ready to hunt. The AWACS screamed like a wounded beast, its massive rotodome tilting wild against the Hindu Kush's jagged teeth, contrails from the dying swarm smearing the sky like war paint on a funeral pyre. Captain Lia Torres yanked the Viper's stick hard right, G-forces crushing her chest as the F-16 knifed through a debris cloud shrapnel from a splash drone pinging the canopy like demonic hail. Below, Bagram's tarmac was a cauldron, black smoke billowing from the fuel depot, ground crews diving for cover as a rogue drone remnant cartwheeled low, its rotors chewing concrete, before detonating in a secondary bloom that lit the dawn in hellfire orange. The base alarms wailed a dirge, klaxons blending with the Doppler wail of jets regrouping overhead. But Lia's world narrowed to the HUD, a single blip, stubborn and adaptive, peeling off from the scattered flock clinging to the AWACS's 6 like a leech on a vein. Ghost lead. Harris, it's on you. Vector 270, flare burst, Now. Her voice cracked over the net, raw from the strain, the locket's chain tangled in her flight suit's collar, its silver oval a cold talisman against her pounding heart. The AWACS call sign Eagle Eye lurched, countermeasures spewing a blizzard of chaff that painted the radar a glittering lie. But the drone adjusted mid-turn, its AI a predator's intuition. Laser lock repainting, missile arming with a whine that ghosted her threat receiver. Harris's reply was a guttural snarl, laced with the rotordome's shudder. Torres, damn it, how many more tricks you got? It's learning mirroring my evasive. Static clawed the channel, undercut by the E3's creaking frame, structural alerts blaring in the background. Lia's Viper slotted in behind the drone, throttle slammed to military power, afterburner itching for release. The HUD bracketed, 1.2 miles closing fast, the ghost machine silhouette twisting wings folding to mimic a sidewinder plume, spoofing her fire control. Prague code, she thought, ice flooding her gut. The mole's fingerprint adaptive, relentless. The same virus that had leaked Ghostflight's path 6 years back. Jax's voice echoed in the cockpit's hum. Eagle, ghosts don't die, they evolve. Punch the egress or wear feathers. She thumbed the ECM pod, punching the Locket Freak 2847 into the jammer sequence. The pod whined, broadcasting the kill switch kernel, a cascade of digital noise designed to overload the AI's mimicry core, fracturing its relay like glass under a boot. The drone stuttered mid-maneuver, wings locking asymmetric, its laser flickering erratic. Got it, it's glitching! Harris whooped, the AWACS banking hard as the drone spiraled, rotors screaming protest. Lia didn't hesitate. Fox 3, splash it! The Sidewinder leaped from her rail, plume a comet's fury, slamming home in a thunderclap of fire. Debris rained, harmless confetti now, the last ghost banished. The net exhaled cheers ragged, pilots slotting back into loose formation overhead. Ramirez's voice cut through, breathless. Captain Torres! Lia, you flew like a demon. Where the hell did you learn that? Lia eased her Viper into a gentle turn, the base resolving below. Fire crews swarming the depot blaze, medevac Blackhawks thumping in from the pads. MPs cordoning the wreckage with M4s at high port. Smoke curled like accusatory fingers, the dawn sun gilding the chaos in false gold. Her hands trembled on the stick adrenaline crash, the cockpit's confines suddenly claustrophobic. Old habits, Ghost One. RTB now, and Ramirez, keep your squawk clean. Harris's tone shifted gruff respect, edging the command. Torres, you stole a bird and saved the wing. Briefing tent, wheels down, and bring that Locket, it's got questions. The radio clicked dead, leaving her with the engine's thrum and the Locket's weight. Questions. Yeah, like why the swarm carried her ghost flight's echo and whose hand had punched the code. Touchdown was a symphony of screech and smoke. Lia's borrowed Viper kissing the runway with a kiss of rubber and regret, reverse thrust howling as she taxied to the revetment. Ground crew swarmed, chalk slamming under the gear, canopy popping with a hydraulic sigh. She climbed down the ladder, legs jelly from the G's, the Locket swinging free now, catching the light like a dare. Raptor waited at the berm's edge, helmet under arm, his smirk fractured eyes flicking from her flight suit to the necklace, the squadron patch on her shoulder suddenly foreign. Locket lady flies, he muttered, half laugh, half awe as she brushed past. Thought you were all files and fairy dust. That maneuver scissors like a pro. Where did desk jockey pull that? Lia paused, sand gritting her teeth, the base's din a muffled roar. Sirens winding down, medics hauling a singed crew chief on a stretcher. Fairy dust's got teeth, Raptor. Watch your vector. She didn't wait for the retort, striding for the briefing tent. MPs parting like the Red Sea at her approach, words spreading fast. The archivist had just ghosted the sky. The tent was a pressure cooker. Pilots clustered around the holo-map, flight suits unzipped, faces streaked with sweat and grime. Ramirez hovered by the coffee urn, nursing a burn on his hand from the stick. His eyes lit when she entered, fist bumping the air. Captain, you're a legend. That jam? Save my bacon. Owe you a beer and cobble if we get leave. Harris loomed at the head, AWACS feed still looping on the projector. Debris arcs frozen mid-frame. The swarm's final glitch a digital autopsy. His gaze locked on her granite cracking, the scar on his jaw twitching. Torres, sit, debrief now, and the squad, at ease but ears on. This bird just earned her wings back. Murmurs rippled Raptor's scoff, dying unspoken, as Lia dropped into a camp chair, the locket settling against her chest like a loaded chamber. The projector hummed, replaying her intercept. Viper slicing clean, Sidewinder's plume a perfect arc. Questions hung thick as the smoke outside. How'd the archivist hotwire a jet? Where'd she pull the freak from? And why did the swarm whisper like a grudge from the grave? Start from the whisper, Harris said, voice low thunder, leaning on the table. Aw3 static, you flagged it pre-launch. Then you jack a Viper. Jam the bastards with a code from 19. Ghost flight. Spill. Lia exhaled slow, the tense canvas walls pressing in like a cockpit at stall. Eyes bored into her pilots leaning forward, Ramirez wide-eyed. Even the intel weenie with his clipboard pausing mid-note. The locket burned. Time to crack it open. 6 years back, Syria, Ghost Flight classified recon, deep strike on chem depots, 4 Vipers my lead, SAM battery lights us up Ghost 3 shreds, wingman ejects into hot LZ, no exfil window, AA blanket thick as fog. I ghosted solo, 2,847 meters low-level egress through the flak, scooped him manual longest unaided jet extract on record. Langley black inked it. I got grounded for the scars. Gasps whispered Raptor's jaw slack. Ramirez whispering, holy shit. Harris's face paled, recognition dawning like a slow fuse. You, the eagle? The ghost who flew through hell? That was you? She nodded, unclasping the locket silver oval glinting under the bulb, the inscription catching light. Ghost flight survivor. 2,147 Saturn egress. To the eagle who flew through hell, JR. The photo inside, Jack's post-rescue grin, sandy hair matted, eyes alive with debt. Jack's Riley my wingman gave me this in Damascus, holds the egress kernel micro SD slotted in the back. Prague mole leaked our path, codes his echo. Swarm today? Same virus, adaptive AI. Someone punched it live. The tent fell tomb silent. The holo-map's hum the only heartbeat. Raptor's scoff was gone, replaced by a nod respect grudging but real. Locket lady, nah, eagle, damn. Harris straightened, voice gravel soft. Riley, I knew him. Gulf vet, you saved his ass hours too today. But the mole? Bayside then. Swarm launched from the ridge relay bounced off our own tower. Who had Alpha 7 access? Suspicions coiled. Ramirez shifted, eyes down. The intel weenie fidgeted with his pen. Lia's recon brain cataloged. Who'd glimpsed her trailer light? Overheard her decrypts? The locket snapped shut. Chain secure talisman and target now. Before answers, the tent flap ripped open MP captain, breathless, sidearm holstered tight. Major intruder alert. Perimeter breach east fence. Ground crew down looks like silenced work. And Torres, your trailer's hit laptop gone, files torched. Lia's blood iced the decrypt kernel. Ghost flight logs. All ash? No, the swarm's code lingered in her head. But the mole had her scent. The whisper ghost returns. It's hunting me. Harris's eyes hardened, hand on his holster. Squad locked down. Torres, you're with me, eagle flies point. Outside, the base braced. Sentries doubling posts, Blackhawks spooling for sweep. But as Lia fell in step with Harris, a glint caught her eye dawn's ray on the ridge. A shadow uncoiling. Not drone, human. Watching. The hunt was on, and Ghost didn't run alone. The ridge exploded in a geyser of rock and fury. The RPG's backblast painting the dawn sky with a streak of orange hellfire that clawed toward Captain Lia Torres' Viper like a vengeful comet. She yanked the stick-left instinct, pure and primal, the F-16's airframe groaning under the torque as the missile skimmed her wingtip, close enough to rattle the canopy with its shockwave. Shrapnel peppered the fuselage, alarms shrieking a cacophony of warnings. Missile lock evade! Structural integrity compromised! The Hindu Kush peaks loomed below, jagged teeth gnashing at the horizon, their shadows swallowing the valley where Bagram smoldered in the distance, a black scar of smoke from the swarm's remnants. Ghost Lia Torres, it's Ramirez! He's got a beat on you, RPG follow-up inbound! Major Harris's voice thundered over the net. Ragged from the AWACS's evasive banks, the E-3's rotodome tilting wild as it clawed for altitude. But Lia didn't need the warning. Her HUD painted the threat clear. A lone figure on the ridge crest, black-clad and hooded, launcher smoking Ramirez. No, the kid was bayside, cuffed and spilling to MPs after the trailer hit. This was the mole's shadow, flesh and blood enforcer, the Prague ghost made manifest. The figure shouldered a second RPG, tube glinting in the sunlock, fire. Lia inverted the Viper, pulling a gut-wrenching negative G loop that turned her world to liquid fire, blood rushing to her head as the missile arced harmless below. The Locket swung wild against her flight suit, its chain a pendulum of fate, the inscription inside burning like a brand. Ghost flight survivor. She leveled out low valley floor, rushing up like a green-brown blur afterburner, kicking in with a roar that shook her bones. The ridge receded, but the figure didn't fade. He melted into the rocks, a phantom in black, radio clipped to his vest, crackling with the swarm's ghost code. Base, this is Torres moles on the ridge, east perimeter. RPG confirmation visual on Black Ops gear, Prague sigil patch. Her transmission cut the static, urgent and clipped. The Viper's engine a banshee wail as she skimmed the tree line, rotors from a distant patrol hawk brushing her wake. Harris's reply was immediate, laced with the rotordome's hum. Copy Blackhawk's vectoring, ETA-3 mics, stay frosty, Eagle. And Torres, that Locket freak saved us once today. What's it hiding now? Everything, she thought, banking hard toward the peaks. The Locket's micro SD kernel pulsing in her mind like a second heartbeat. The swarm was down, jammed to scrap. But this, personal. The trailer torch job hadn't been random. Her ghost flight logs, the decrypt traces they'd come for her secrets, the code that could unravel the mole's net, and Ramirez's eyes in debrief guilty flickers, whispers of sister's ransom, pointed fingers back at him. Blackmailed pawn or willing ghost? She'd find out. The Viper crested the ridge, nose high, the valley unfolding like a wound. Bagram's fires winking distant, a Blackhawk patrol skimming the floor below, rotors chopping air thick with tension. No visual on the RPG ghost rocks and scrub a perfect cloak, but her threat receiver pinged faint. Electronic signature, low-band relay bouncing off the peaks. The mole's handler, piping orders from the shadows. Lia punched the ECM 2847 humming again, the egress kernel probing for echoes. The signature glitched, a digital stutter revealing chords, 34.5 north, 69.2 east. 3 clicks into the Kush, a dry wadi snaking toward Pakistan's shadow. Lead, I've got a trace. Relay bounce in the wadi. Hawk patrol, swing east, flush him out. Harris acknowledged, but doubt gnawed. If Ramirez was the leak, the Hawks might fly into a trap. She broke formation, dipping low over the ridge terrain, following radar painting the contours in green ghosts, the Viper hugging the earth like a predator on the prowl. Wind shear buffeted her, the Locket clinking against the stick, Jax's inscription a mantra, flew through hell. This was Hell Redux Prague's betrayal reborn in Afghan dust. Flashback clawed in, 2019, Syrian night turning to firestorm. Ghost Flight's 4 ships slicing the black, her Viper lead call sign eagle mapping chem bunkers under radio silence. The SAM battery woke like a dragon, radar locking Ghost 3, Jax's bird erupting in a globe of flame. ejection seat rocketing him into the void. Eagle, bail out, I'm good. His voice calm over the maelstrom, but the LZ was a killbox Assad's ground team swarming, AA guns traversing the sky. Lia inverted, diving into the soup, 2,147 meters of flak-choked descent. G-suit squeezing her ribs as tracers zipped past like fireflies from hell. No wing support ghosted solo, ECM screaming overload, the Viper's frame shuddering as she skimmed dunes, scooping jacks mid-stride from the sand in a manual extract that bent physics and protocol. Langley called it legend. She called it survival. The scars on her back a map of near misses. The Locket Jax's gift in that Damascus hole-up, engraved with the impossible metric held the kernel. Code ripped from the Sam's black box, a decrypt virus she'd jury-rigged mid-egress. Prague Mole sold it for rubles. Now it haunted her again. The Wadi cords sharpened on her nav relay strong. The ghost close. Lia keyed the Hawk Patrol. Dust 1 Torres, I've eyes on the Bounce Wadi Fork. 2 clicks south, low and slow, flush him my way. The Blackhawk's pilot, a gravel-voiced chief warrant, acknowledged, Copy Eagle, rolling hot, watch your 6. Rotors thumped closer, the helo cresting the ridge like a steel dragonfly, miniguns spinning up with a whine that chilled the air. She climbed, Viper's nose biting blue, circling high as the Hawk dove into the Wadi dust plume blooming, the relay signal spiking erratic. Then contact, muzzle flash from the scrub, green tracers lancing the Hawk's flank. Taking fire, RPG inbound, the pilot barked, the helo banking hard, door gunner hosing the rocks with 7.62 fury. The RPG streaked miss, slamming a boulder in a shower of shards, but the ghost broke cover. Black silhouette scrambling up the Wadi wall, AK slung, radio crackling as he bolted for a ridgeline cave. Lia's HUD locked, 1.8 miles, running hot. Dust 1, eye visual, cover me, I'm feet dry. She dove, afterburner kicking, the Viper a spear through the sky. The ghost glanced up, hooded face pale under keffiyeh, eyes widening as her shadow engulfed him. He dove for the cave mouth, but she pickled a GBU-12 laser-guided dummy load, non-lethal, just enough boom to crater the entrance without burying him. Impact, rock face shattering, dust avalanche sealing the mouth in a gray pall. The Hawk hovered, miniguns trained, as Lia circled tight ejection fears be damned. Target contained, ground team's Wadi cave cords uploaded. And Harris, get Ramirez in the box, this ghost knows his voice. RTB was a gauntlet. Viper kissing the strip amid cheering ground crews, canopy popping to a wall of high fives and stunned stares. Raptor clapped her shoulder hard, genuine. Eagle, shit, Locket no more. You just ghosted a mole. Ramirez waited at the chalks, MPs flanking him. Eyes downcast, cuffs glinting, the betrayal etched in his slump. Lia climbed down, Locket swinging free, the squadron forming a loose honor guard as Harris taxied in from the AWACS handoff. His gaze met hers across the tarmac granite softened, the scar on his jaw twitching like a tell. Torres briefing now. And the squad. Stand down, but eyes open. Moles cornered, but ghosts bite back. The interrogation shack was a sweatbox. Tin-roofed blister off the MP's compound, walls sweating condensation, a single bulb swinging like a noose. Ramirez sat chained to the ring bolt, face ashen, the kid's bravado stripped to bone. Lia entered last, Harris at her flank, the MP captain locking the door with a click that echoed like a chambered round. Talk, Lieutenant, Harris growled, slamming a tablet on the table swarm telemetry scrolling, the Wadi cords pinned. Torres says you sold Alpha 7. Sister's ransom or Prague rubles? Ramirez's eyes flicked to Lia guilt, plea, then down. Captain Eagle. I didn't, they got to me after the trailer hit. Said they'd dust my sis in Kabul if I didn't relay the freck tweak. The ghost on the ridge? Their cleaner Prague vet calls himself Spectre. Gave me the code snippet, said it was old debt from Syria. Lia's blood thrummed, the Locket's inscription flaring in her mind. Spectre, describe him. Black gear, kafia, scar across the knuckles like claw marks. Radio patch with a serpent tat. Whispered, "Ghost flight owes the eagle." But eagles fall. Ramirez swallowed, chains rattling. "He knew about you, the Locket, the egress. Said Harris was next if I balked." Harris's fist clenched, knuckles white. "Me? What the?" The shack shuddered, distant thump, then alarms. "Perimeter breach, East Ridge, hawk down." Lia bolted for the door, Harris on her heels, Ramirez's shout chasing, "Captain, the code! Spectre's got the full colonel, your Locket's the key." Outside, chaos reignited, the Waddy Hawk spiraling smoke, rotors flailing as it auto-rotated to a crash landing, RPG smoke trailing from the peaks. Spectre alive, the cave blast a feint. Lia sprinted for a waiting Humvee, MPs piling in, Harris barking chords. The Locket bounced, chain snapping taut, ooze the eagle. Prague det, ghost flight's ghost. The chase ignited, Humvee convoy roaring up the ridge road, dust plume a beacon, M2s on the turrets chewing rocks as Spectre-esque shadow flickered ahead, ghosting on foot, AK slung, heading for a ridgeline cache. Lia keyed her sat phone agency line, red flagged. Spectre active Prague handler, ridge cords, kernel compromised. Reply pinged cold. Eagle abort pursuit, moles bait. Exfil inbound, 30 mics. Burn the Locket. But burning ghosts, not her style. The Humvee crested, Spectre breaking into the open scarred knuckles glinting as he shouldered the launcher. RPG streaked slam on the lead vehicle, fireball erupting. Lia dove out rolling, M4 up, the Locket's inscription her North Star. Gunfire traded, rocks chipping, Spectre vanishing into a crevasse. Harris dragged her behind a boulder, breath hot. "Torres Eagle, what's the play?" She unclasped the Locket, micro SD glinting Colonel's heart. "The play? We end the ghost. For Jax, for all of us." The crevasse yawned, shadows coiling like smoke. Spectre waited, and so did the truth. The crevasse mouth belched fire like a dragon's maw, the RPG's muzzle flash blooming orange against the Hindu Kush's shadowed throat, turning the wadi into a kill box of ricocheting lead and choking dust. Captain Lia Torres hit the sand rolling, her M4 barking suppressed bursts 3 rounds stitching the rock face where Spectre had vanished seconds before, as the missile's backblast scorched the air behind her. Close enough to singe her flight suit's hem and fill her nostrils with the chemical reek of propellant. Shards of shale rained, slicing her cheek like invisible knives, blood warm and metallic on her lip, but she didn't flinch. The Locket swung wild against her chest, its silver oval a frantic compass in the chaos, the inscription inside pulsing like a second heartbeat. Ghost flight survivor. "Flank left cover fire!" Major Harris bellowed from the boulder cluster 20 meters back, his M4 chattering full auto, tracers lancing the crevasse like accusatory fingers. The Humvee convoy idled behind, engines growling low, MPs piling out with rifles hot 8 souls against the ghost. But Spectre moved like smoke, his silhouette a flicker in the gloom. Black tactical gear blending with the rocks, kafia whipping in the wind, scarred knuckles flexing around the AK as he melted deeper into the fissure. The wadi forked here, dry riverbeds snaking into a labyrinth of boulders and thorn scrub. Pakistan's border a teasing mirage 3 clicks east. Freedom for the mole if they let him ghost. Lia surged forward, low crawl over the scree, her breath ragged in the thin air altitude biting at 4,000 feet. Lungs burning from the sprint up the ridge road. The MPs laid suppressive fire, bullets whining off stone, but Spectre countered, grenade lobbed blind from the crevasse, tumbling end over end with a hiss. "Frag out!" she yelled, diving for a cleft boom, the blast wave slamming her prone, shrapnel whistling past like vengeful wasps. Ears ringing, she popped up, M4 sighted crack, nailing his boot heel in a spray of leather and blood. He howled, staggering deeper, but didn't drop the radio. Static crackled faint, his voice a guttural snarl in Pashto-laced Russian. "Eagle pin, Colonel extract failed. Abort phase 2. Colonel." The Locket's heart the micro SD with Ghostflight's decrypt virus. Spectre wasn't just the cleaner, he was the collector, Prague's hand reaching for her legend. Lia's mind raced the waveforms. If he bagged it. The agency's black vault cracked wide every ghost op from Syria to Kabul, compromised. Jax's sacrifice, her scars ashes. "Push the cleft, pin him," Harris ordered, voice thunder over the din, his figure hulking behind a fallen slab. MP vest straining. The team advanced and bounced 2 MPs low, rifles barking, another lobbing a flashbang that cracked the crevasse like lightning. Spectre retreated, shadow shrinking, but not before his AK spat back. A burst caught an MP in the thigh, scream echoing as the kid went down clutching red-soaked fatigues. Lia broke cover, sprinting the gap sand sucking at her boots, thorns raking her calves like barbed accusations. The crevasse narrowed to a slot canyon, walls towering 20 feet, the sun a slit of gold overhead. She funneled in, M4 sweeping corners, the Locket's chain snagging on a spur yank. It held. Survivor. Ahead, Spectre's boot print in the dust blood flecked, limping now. She pressed, radio clipped to her shoulder. Harris flanked the East Fork. He's leaking red-cornered but desperate. His reply was clipped. Copy team splitting. Watch for secondaries. This ghost's a Prague trained. Prague. The word clawed her 2019's betrayal. The mole who'd sold Ghost Flight's path for rubles. Jax's viper blooming fire because some shadow whispered chords to Assad's batteries. Agency buried it deep, but scars didn't lie. Hers spidered her back from the eject, his from the flames. Spectre was that Shadow's blade scarred knuckles the mark of a handler who danced with Spetsnaz before flipping for the highest bidder. The slot twisted right, opening to a shallow basin thorn bushes clawing at boulders. A dry stream bed snaking toward the border haze. Spectre crouched there, back to a sheer wall. AK-leveled eyes dark under the keffiyeh, face a map of old wars. Chechen stubble, a hook nose bent from breaks, lips curled in a wolf's grin. The serpent patch on his vest glinted Bratva Echo, Prague's syndicate tie. He didn't shoot. Instead, he tossed the AK aside, hands up slow, the radio dangling from his belt like a noose. "Eagle," he rasped, accent thick as gravel Russian under the Pashto veil. "You fly well. Ghost flight, legendary, but death's call." His gaze dropped to the locket, glinting in her palm where she'd clutched it mid-sprint. "The Colonel. Jax's gift? Give it and your wingman lives. Ramirez's sister Kabul's safe house. Prague forgives." Lia froze, M4 steady on his chest center mass, double tap ready. The basin hushed, wind whispering through thorns, distant chopper thump from the hawks. Harris's voice crackled. "Torres visual? We're closing." She keyed silent hold eyes locked on Spectre. "Prague doesn't forgive, Ghost. It hunts. You leaked the flight Jax burned for your rubles. Who's the handler? Irina? Volkov?" His laugh was a wet bark, scarred knuckles flexing claw marks from a 14 Grozny scrape, she clocked. "Irina laughs in London. Volkov? Sells in Belmarsh? No, the debt's older. Your eagle flew too close, saved the wrong man." He nodded at her locket, voice dropping to a hiss. "Open it. See the truth." Tension coiled, the air thick as pre-storm thorns rustling like whispers. A hawk's cry echoing from the peaks. Lia's finger hovered the trigger, but curiosity clawed deeper than caution. Wrong man. Jax? Harris? She edged closer. M4 unwavering, the locket unclasped in her offhand. Spectre watched, grin widening bait on a hook. The oval snapped open. Jax's photo, faded grin. Inscription glowing faint. But Spectre's eyes flicked not to the words to the micro SD slot. Empty. She'd palmed it during the sprint kernel tucked in her boot. Agency habit. His grin faltered. "Clever eagle, but the debt." She lunged muzzle flash, double tap to the shoulder, spinning him against the wall. He howled, blood sheeting black, but twisted knife flashing from his sleeve. A Spetsnaz stiletto lunging for her throat. Lia parried with the M4's stock crack of bone knee driving his groin, the Locket's chain whipping his face in a silver lash. They grappled, dust choking, thorns snagging gear, his knife grazing her arm, fire line shallow but stinging. "You leaked it," she snarled, pinning his wrist, boot grinding the blade free. "Prague ghost flight. Jax died for your code." Spectre's eyes gleamed, blood bubbling. "Not leak, gift. The wingman you saved, he sold the path for promotion. Harris your Harris, Gulf debt paid in Syrian skies." The words landed like a Sam Harris. The man she'd just flanked with? Betrayal's knife twisted deeper. Lia reeled, grip slackening a beat enough for Spectre to buck, rolling her into the thorns, barbs raking her back like old scars reopening. He scrambled up, knife reclaimed, lunging blade arcing for the Locket. She fired point-blank thigh hit, him crumpling, but the chain snapped, oval flying into the dust. "No!" She dove, fingers clawing sand there, glinting amid pebbles. Spectre crawled, hand outstretched. "The Colonel?" "Eagle's heart." Harris's voice boomed from the fork. "Torres contact!" Boots pounded, MPs fanning the basin. Spectre lunged one last time, fingers brushing the Locket, but Lia snatched it, M4 butt slamming his temple. He slumped, eyes rolling out, but breathing. MPs swarmed, zip cuffs snapping, hauling him prone. Harris crested the rise, face thunder then paling at the blood, her torn suit, the Locket clutched like a grenade. "Eagle, what the hell happened?" She rose, chain broken but oval secure, inscription smeared with dust. "Truth, Major. Spectre says you sold Ghost Flight for promotion. Jax died for it. The Colonel? Safe. But you?" Harris froze, granite cracking eyes flicking to Spectre, then her. The basin hushed, MPs pausing mid-drag, wind whispering accusations. "Torres, Lia, Gulf Zone 9, I owed rubles, bad bets." Prague handler called the marker. "Leak the recon path or my wings clipped." Thought it was bluff chem sites, no pilots. Then the Sams. Jax. His voice broke, hand trembling on his sidearm. "I buried it, promotion covered the debt. But the swarm? Spectre came collecting your ghost, my sin." Betrayal's full weight crashed Harris, the wingman she'd saved, the commander who'd mocked her Locket. Ramirez's blackmail? Chain reaction from this rot. Lia's M4 lowered slow, the oval heavy in her palm. "You grounded me. For what?" "Fear," he whispered, dropping to a knee salute rising, fist to heart. "Eagle, forgive a ghost his chains. The Colonel burn it. End this." MPs hauled Spectre away. Radio confiscated Prague line dead. But as Harris stood, eyes haunted, a chopper thump crested the ridge. Agency bird, unmarked black, rotors slicing the air. Handler's voice crackled her earpiece stolen from the Viper. "Eagle exfil hot, mole's yours, burn the nest." Lia clasped the Locket broken chain, unbroken roots. Ghosts didn't forgive, they flew on. "Major, wings yours, but the skies, mine." She boarded, rotors thumping lift, the basin shrinking below Harris saluting lone, the Kush swallowing secrets. But in her palm, the inscription gleamed, "Survivor." Prague called and Eagles answered. The unmarked Blackhawk bucked like a wild stallion as the RPG slammed its tail rotor, the blast wave ripping through the cabin with a thunderclap that shattered the side window and filled Captain Lia Torres' world with the shriek of tortured metal and the copper tang of hydraulic fluid. Shrapnel peppered the bulkhead inches from her head, a jagged chunk embedding in the seatback with a meaty thunk, while the helo's frame shuddered violently, rotors clawing air in a desperate auto-rotation spiral toward the wadi floor. Alarms wailed a symphony of doom, rotor RPM critical, impact in 10, and the pilot's voice cut through the chaos, strained over the intercom. "Eagle brace! Spectre's team ambush from the ridge! We're going down hot!" Lia clutched the Locket in her fist, its broken chain dangling like a noose. The silver oval's inscription Ghost Flight Survivor. 2,147 meters egress, pressed against her palm like a talisman forged in hellfire. The micro-SD kernel slotted inside was the prize they'd come for. Prague's ghost code, the decrypt virus that could unravel every black op from Damascus to Kabul. And now, as the Black Hawk nosedived into the thorn-choked Wadey, rotors flailing sand into a blinding vortex, she knew Spectre hadn't been cornered, he'd been the bait. The agency exfil bird, her ticket out of Bagram's Dust Bowl, was a trap sprung too late. "Ghosts inbound 3 tangos, RPGs hot," the co-pilot yelled, wrestling the cyclic as the helo yawed left, minigun spinning up with a chainsaw growl. Tracers lanced from the door, stitching the ridgeline where black-clad figures Spectre's cleanup crew. Serpent patches glinting melted in and out of cover, their launchers blooming fire. A second RPG streaked low miss, slamming a boulder in a geyser of shale that pelted the fuselage like buckshot. Lia unholstered her Glock, racking the slide one-handed, the other fumbling for the quick-release harness. Impact loomed 5 seconds, the wadi floor rushing up like a grave's embrace. "Hold on, feet wet!" The pilot yanked the collective, auto-rotation bleeding speed into a controlled crash. Skids kissing sand with a bone-jarring crunch that sheared rivets and snapped the tail boom clean. The Black Hawk slewed sideways, grinding to a halt in a plume of dust and thorn shreds, rotors windmilling to a stop amid the whine of dying gyros. Lia kicked the door panel jammed, buckled firing 2 rounds into the latch until it gave, tumbling out into the wadi's heat-shimmered haze. The pilot was slumped over the controls, blood sheeting from a head wound. Co-pilot scrambling for his M4. Door gunner already laying suppressing firebursts chewing the ridge. But the tangos flanked fast, AKs barking in controlled pairs. Bullets zipped low, kicking sand at her boots. One grazing her calf fireline sting, but mobile. Lia rolled behind a thornbush cluster, thorns raking her arms like barbed accusations. Glock up and sweeping, pop-pop headshot on the nearest tango, serpent patch blooming red as he toppled mid-stride. "Cover Eagles out!" the gunner roared, minigun chattering a storm that forced the others to ground. But Spectre's voice crackled over a stolen agency radio, tossed from the ridge like a gauntlet. "Eagle falls again! Colonel now, or your ghost join Jack's." The taunt clawed her Prague's echo, the mole's blade twisting in old wounds. Harris's confession burned fresh. "I leaked it for promotion." The wingman she'd saved, the commander who'd mocked her Locket his debt, had birthed this swarm. Ramirez's blackmail, its bastard child. And Spectre, the collector, Prague's scarred fist closing around her legend. Lia keyed her sat phone agency backup line, red-flagged and frantic. "Exfil down Wadi ambush, 3 tangos plus Spectre. Colonel secure need QRF now." Static hissed back, then handler's voice, ice over the link. "Eagle burn it. Mole's net-wide Spectre's handler's Volkov. Belmarsh breakout 2 hours ago. Exfil abort, go dark." Volkov Prague's ghost from the cells, the serpent who'd sold Ghost Flight's path. Breakout? The net wasn't wide. It was a noose, tightening with Harris's rubles at its knot. The gunner took a round chest bloom, slumping over the minigun with a gurgle. Co-pilot dragged him back, firing from the door, but the tangos closed 2 bounding left, RPG gunner right, launch tube shouldered. Lia broke cover, sprinting parallel to the helo's wreck thorns shredding her sleeves, sand sucking her boots. Glock barking, double tap on the RPG man, tube clattering as he folded. The last 2 hosed the air, bullets zipping past her ear whiff of cordite, sting of near miss. She dove behind a boulder outcrop, chest heaving. Locket clutched like a grenade pin. The co-pilot's M4 chattered cover, but ammo low-click empty. Tangos pinned them, ridge shadows lengthening as the sun climbed. Pakistan's border a siren's call. Spectre emerged then from the crevass's upper lip, limping but lethal. Thigh wound stanched with a tourniquet, AK leveled casual as a stroll. His kaffieh slipped, revealing the face. Mid-40s, Chechen hard, eyes like chipped obsidian under a brow furrowed by old scars. The serpent patch on his vest wasn't ink embroidered. Prague vintage. Eagle, he called, voice carrying over the gunfire's lull, accent of velvet blade. The colonel. Jack says follow your chain. Give it, and Volkov calls off the hounds. Your Harris? He pays the old debt. Ghostflight's leak was mercy promotion for silence. But you, survivor. Too many ghosts wake. Lia rose slow, Glock steady on his chest, the boulder her shield thorns framing her like a crown of barbs. The tangos flanked wide, eyes on her, co-pilot pinned in the wreck. Mercy? Jack's burn for your rubles, Spectre, Volkov's break out Harris's wire, or your play. His grin split, yellow teeth flashing. Harris wired the seed gulf debts, but the harvest? Mine. Prague plants deep, the Locket open it. See the photo, Jax's eyes. They knew. The taunt hooked her Jax's grin, faded in silver. She'd glimpsed it 1,000 times. Anchor against the nightmares. Eject plume, his viper's fireball, her ghost dive through the flak. But Spectre's words slithered doubt. Knew the leak? Forgave it? She edged the locket open one-handed, thumb tracing the inscription, "To the eagle who flew through hell," the photo's edges worn soft. Jax's eyes stared back, alive, but in the light. A shadow? No paranoia, the Wheaties' heat warping her. The co-pilot fired wild last mag tango dropping, but the second closed, knife out, lunging for the wreck. Lia snapped Glock bucking, headshot clean. Spectre laughed, AK rising casual. Brave eagle. But ghosts hunger. He fired suppressed cough, bullet grazing her shoulder, fire blooming hot. Lia staggered, Glock dropping rounds miss, rock chips stinging her cheek. Spectre advanced, limping but inexorable, the wadi walls closing like a vice. The Colonel Volkov's key to Langley. Ghostflight's code cracks them all. Give it or your wing burns next. Pain lanced her arm through and through. Blood sheeting, but adrenaline armored her. She dove left, thorns raking, rolling into a cleft as his burst chewed the boulder. The co-pilot screamed Tango's knife-finding throat, gurgle wet. Pilot stirred in the cockpit, dazed, but drawing sidearm pop-pop, Tango down. Two left, Spectre and his shadow. Lia keyed the sat. Handler Colonel burn imminent. Volkov's play Harris complicit. Reply pinged, affirm. Eagle exfil abort. QRF 20 mics. Burn it. Burn the locket? Jax's ghost? No fight. She burst from the cleft. Glock two-handed double-tap center mass. Spectre twisted. Round clipping vest Kevlar kiss, but his AK answered. Burst stitching the sand at her feet. She closed the gap. Viper reflexes in overdrive tackle low. Shoulder slamming his knee. The locket flying free in the tangle. They hit thorns rolling, barbs tearing gear. His knife flashing slash across her bicep. Old scar reopening in fire. You leak, she snarled, knee to his gut, fist cracking his jaw. Blood sprayed, his kafia unraveling face full now. Chechen lines, serpent tat coiling his neck. Jax died for your code. He bucked, knife reversing tip kissing her throat, pinning her down. Jax lived for it. He knew the leak Harris's wire. Ghost flight? Suicide run from the start. Volkov's gift promotion for all. The blade pressed, skin parting warm trickle. The locket kernels in the photo backing. Pry it. Doubt clawed Jax knew. The photo's edge, micro SD hidden. No paranoia. She headbutted him, stars exploding, nose crunching knife clattering free. Her hand found it, reversing tip to his eye. Truth, Spectre. Volkov's breakout who sprung him. His grin split blood. Your ghosts, Eagle. Harris's ruble's final payment. The Shadow Tango closed AK up, but the pilot's sidearm barked from the wreck. Headshot, Tango folding. Spectre twisted, free hand clawing her throat chokehold iron, vision spotting black. Lia gurgled, knife hand weakening survivor, then drove it home. Eye socket pop, his scream a banshee wail. He spasmed, grip slackening. She rolled free, gasping air like salvation. The pilot staggered from the helo. Gun leveled, Spectre slumping, knife buried to the hilt, eyes glazing vacant. The wadi fell silent, wind sighing over thorns, distant chopper thump growing. Lia crawled for the Locket oval in dust, photo intact, inscription mocking. Flew through hell, no hidden SD, her boots kernel safe. Spectre's radio crackled final. Volkov, eagle down. Click. Harris's voice oversat. Torres status? Betrayal's weight crushed his rubles sprung Volkov. The leak, the swarm, Ramirez's chain, all his debt. She keyed, voice, steel. Ghost down, Colonel secure, and Major, your ghosts end here. QRF crested the Ridge Hawks and Apaches, guns hot. But as medics swarmed, Lia clutched the Locket chain broken, but roots deep. Volkov waited, Prague's serpent rising. The hunt flew on. The Blackhawk's rotors thrashed the Afghan dusk like a blender in blood, its miniguns chewing through the ridgeline in a storm of 7.62 fury that turned boulders to gravel and sent Spectre's cleanup crew scrambling for cover, like rats in a floodlight. Captain Lia Torres braced against the helo's shuddering frame, wind shear slamming her into the bulkhead as the door gunner, a grizzled sergeant with a chew tobacco bulge and eyes like gun barrels, hosed the shadows below. Tracers arcing gold into the wadi's throat. Shrapnel from a ricocheting RPG peppered the skid, one chunk slicing her boot sole clean. But she didn't flinch. The Locket dangled from her fist, chain repaired with a field twist of wire, its silver oval warm against her palm. Ghost flight survivor, the inscription, a vow etched in Hell's own forge. Eagle QRF's got the tangos pinned. Volkov's signals spiking. He's breaking east. Border run. The pilot's voice crackled over the intercom, strained against the cyclic's fight. The Hawk banking hard left to evade a SA-7 shoulder-fired missile that streaked past like a venomous hornet, detonating against a distant peak in a bloom of fire that lit the Kush in infernal red. Below, the weedy churned. Spectre's body slumped in the dust, MP zip-tying his corpse amid the thorns. But the real serpent slithered free Volkov, Prague's breakout ghost, his black SUV fishtailing up the ridge road, dust plume a taunting arrow toward Pakistan's haze. Lia leaned into the open door, M4 slung tight, the Locket's micro SD kernel slotted back kernel that could crack Langley's vault or bury it forever. Harris's betrayal burned fresh. Rubles for the leak. Promotion for the silence. The man she'd saved in ghost flight. The commander who'd mocked her as Locket Lady. His debt had birthed the swarm. Chained Ramirez, unleashed Volkov. But debts circled. Eagles didn't flee. Dust lead vector on the SUV. Low and hot, flush him to the open. I've got the shot. The pilot whooped. Collective yanked the hawk dove like a stooping falcon, rotors thumping bass thunder that shook the peaks. Volkov's convoy, 3 techs in blacked-out Tahoes. RPGs racked on the roof swerved wild, tires screaming gravel as the helo's shadow engulfed them. Door gunner opened up, burst after burst, stitching the lead Tahoe's tires pop, 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 sending it fishtailing into a spin, slamming broadside into a thorn thicket. The second braked hard, gunners shouldering SA-7's missiles blooming, one clipping the Hawk's tail boom in a screech of sparks. Hit losing lateral! The helo yawed right, pilot wrestling it level. But Lia was already hot-miking the SAT. Agency Volkov convoy pinned, ridge east of Bagram. Colonel secure request Spectre strike now. Reply pinged ice. Eagle denied. Volkov's diplomatic pouch Belmarsh breakout was op green. Burn Colonel. Exfil Kabul, Yo 600. Ghosts sleep. Diplomatic? Cover for the leak. Harris's rubles buying Volkov's freedom. Prague's hand in Langley gloves. Rage coiled, but Lia channeled it. Eagles didn't rage. They struck. Dust break off. I've got feet wet, flank the third. She unslung the M4. Leaping from the skid as the Hawk peeled up three-point landing impossible in the spin. But momentum carried her rolling down the slope, sand and shale avalanching under her. The third Tahoe gunned it. Engine roar drowning the rotors. Volkov's silhouette clear in the passenger seat, broad-shouldered Russian. Bald Pat scarred from Siberian gulags, eyes like dead coals under aviators. He leaned out, AK barking rounds zipping past her ear, one creasing her thigh in fire. Lia fired from the hip-suppressed coughs, stitching the door panel, glass shattering inward. The Tahoe swerved, fishtailing toward the border track, but she closed boots-pounding scree, M4 steady, double-tap to the driver, Tahoe slewing wild into a boulder with a crunch of metal and scream of tires. Volkov kicked the door open, rolling out low AK up. Serpent Tat coiling his forearm as he sprayed suppression, bullets kicking dust at her feet. "You fly well, Eagle," he called, voice a baritone rumble over the din, accent thick as Borscht Prague's ghost-made flesh. The handler who'd peddled Ghostflight's path for Harris's wire. "But debts compound. The Colonel Jax's folly. Give it and your commander lives. Rubles bought silence once. Now they buy peace." Lia circled wide, thorns raking her legs like old grudges, the locket bouncing with each stride survivor. MPs crested the ridge behind, Harris's voice barking over radio. "Torres, hold fire! Volkov's got diplomatic agency says stand down." "Stand down?" After Jax's pyre, Ramirez's chains. "No." She keyed silent, M4 sweeping. "Peace, you sold us Ghostflight's blood for your vaults. Volkov end it." He laughed, deep and devoid of joy, AK tracking her as he backed toward a crevasse mouth escape vein to the border. "Sold! Gifted! Harris begged the leak Gulf debts drowning him. Ghostflight, bait for the Eagle. You survived legend. But the Colonel? Cracks Langley wide every op, every ghost. Give it, or your wing burns eternal." The bluff cracked her Harris's confession in the basin. Rubles for silence. But Volkov's eyes lied. Prague didn't gift, it gutted. She fainted left burst high, forcing him to ground, then closed right, M4 barking center mass. He twisted, round grazing vest Kevlar kiss, but returned fire, AK stitching the air, one slug burning her bicep, fire lancing deep. Lia staggered, blood sheeting, but rolled through thorns her ally, Barb snagging his boot as she came up firing. Pop-pop thigh hit, Volkov crumpling to a knee, AK clattering. He lunged for it, knife flashing from his belt, Spetsnaz curve slashing wild. Lia parried with the M4 stock crack of bone knee to his ribs, the locket flying free in the grapple, oval skittering into the dust. "No!" She dove, fingers clawing sand there, glinting amid pebbles. Volkov's hand clamped her ankle yank, thorns raking her prone, knife arcing for her back. Pain exploded, blade biting deep between shoulder blades, old scar reopening in agony. She screamed, bucking wild, elbow cracking his jaw stars for her, blood for him. The MPs crested Harris leading, M4 leveled. "Torres down!" But Volkov rolled atop, knife reversing tip to her throat, pinning her, the locket inches from his grasp. The Colonel, Eagle, or join Jax. Harris froze, rifle dipping eyes haunted, the debt's weight crushing. "Volkov, stand down! Agencies here, diplomatics bullshit. Let her go." Volkov's laugh gurgled blood. "Your rubles say otherwise, Major. Leak Ghostflight peace. Now the Colonel or war." His free hand clawed for the locket. Lia twisted, boot heel slamming his wound howl ripping free. She surged, knife hand weakening, her palm closing on the oval survivor, and drove her thumb into his eye socket, stiletto forgotten as she reversed the blade from her back, plunging it home. Volkov spasmed, grip slackening, knife clattering, body slumping heavy. Lia gasped air, blood pooling, the locket clutched like salvation. MPs swarmed, hauling him cuffed, broken, Prague's serpent stilled. Harris knelt beside her, face ashen. "Eagle, Lia, medevac inbound, you ended it." She rose shaky, locket chain snapping taut, repaired no more. "Ended. Ghost Echo Major, your rubles started this Jax's pyre, Ramirez's chains. Agencies diplomatic? Cover for your debt." Her voice cracked, pain lancing, but eyes steel. "The Colonel burned in my mind. Langley gets the ghost, you get the grave." Harris recoiled, salute faltering guilt's knife deeper than Volkov's. "For the wing. Gulf debts. Death's berry wings. Medevac thumped in, rotors washing sand. Paramedics swarmed, morphine haze pulling her under. As the stretcher lifted, Ramirez, cuffed but unchained, rushed forward, fist to heart. "Captain, Eagle, you flew us out. Again." The locket gleamed in her palm, inscription catching the sun. Flew through hell. Agency birds circled high exfil true this time. Ghosts settled, but Eagle soared roots deep, skies endless.